What is up, everybody? We are here for another week of Fantasy First Rounders. We got the usual crew here. Myself at FFR Tom. We got real Ryan Hicks, Whitt 24 over on this side. Unfortunately, had a little scheduling mishap with Chris Pinto, our host. So he won't be with us, at least to start the show today. We do have Rumboyz Robbie, fearless leader over with the Rumboyz here, hanging out tonight, helping us out, producing a little, and he'll be joining us for the show. We got a lot to cover tonight, though. We got, as per usual, the boys Billy and Ryan going to talk a little bit about the St. Jude Bowl that we're getting going again, year 2. And then going forward, we got our usual 3 tight ends, and then we're going to kick off our 40-plus rookie wide receiver profiles. So, boys, why don't we just dive right on into it? Tell them about the St. Jude Bowl, year 2. What do we got?
Well, what we've got is about just over a week until we start actually officially filling the leagues, taking payments, getting everything worked out. We've got all the formats ready to go, guillotine, vampire, auction, best ball, and then obviously the mega league. We had 144 people join with us last year. We're expecting a lot more this year. We're really excited. Come join. It's for a great cause, St. Jude, and it's really fun, guys. Winner gets a prize as well, so come join. It's $20, and we are super excited to be bringing it back this year.
Yeah, just an awesome event. We kicked it off last year. Had a ton of fun expanding upon that success and the event that we created last year with the help of you guys, and looking forward to bringing you more this year.
Yes. Also, yeah, Waddle. I got Waddle over everybody in my rankings.
I love Waddle too.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of great stuff coming for the St. Jude Bowl year 2 here. Any format you can imagine, we have it all. So last year, like you said, grand prize of $1,200 to the winner. Matched that with a donation of $1,200 to St. Jude. This year, we're trying to make that even bigger. It's all about helping people. That's what we're all here for, and having fun with fantasy. So with that being said, like we said, we start every one of these shows with the first 3 are going to be tight ends. This week, we have Hunter Long, Kenny Yeboah. I can never say that name, guys. And Tony Poljan. So, Billy, Ryan, you guys are our tight end experts. Ryan got us in on Gesicki, Billy, the boy out of Iowa. So, Billy, why don't you kick it off with Hunter Long?
Yeah, Hunter Long, your prototypical tight end, 6'5", 250. Not the most athletic guy, but he gets it done. He catches balls with guys hanging on him. An experienced player coming out of Boston College, a guy that's going to be a late pick in this draft, but a guy that probably sticks around through camp and might be battling for some time in that rookie season. Obviously, pending his landing spot, if he goes somewhere where they're already kind of crowded, may not see the field, but somewhere where they're tight end needy, I could see him fitting in early and having a little bit of a role as they try to develop him on the field.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter Long had almost the same 40 time as Brevin Jordan, and he actually had a better vertical. Those are 2 of the physical characteristics I actually like to look at tight ends. But this guy catches everything, man. His stats don't wow because it wasn't really a prolific offense for a tight end to be in, but he catches everything that comes anywhere near them. He's more of like a possession tight end with that size. He's not that quick, but his straight line speed isn't that bad. If he can take the top off of a defense, if he can just make a move. But he needs a little momentum to get really going. That being said, this guy is a sure-handed tight end. I'm interested in him.
Yeah, really quick. I just want to add, fellas. I mean, this guy, he goes up and he gets those contested catches. I'm sorry. He goes up and he gets the contested catches. I think he had something like 11 last year. In terms of just contested catches alone. You gotta like that if this kid, I mean, on film, maybe he's not the best run blocker, okay, but you're still going to get a physical specimen that has solid hands. So any team in the NFL's got to be excited about that when they see this kid really go up there and contend for the ball.
Yeah, you guys nailed it. I mean, talking about Hunter Long here, keep in mind he did lead the nation in receptions at 57, had 685 receiving yards. That's pretty big, right? I think going into the NFL, as with a couple of these guys in the draft, definitely would be beneficial in a team that runs a lot of 12 personnel. If you have 2 tight ends, a lot of these guys are going to see enough time on the field, to make a difference and to kind of carve out a role for themselves. Kind of like Freiermuth, kind of like some of the guys we talked about last week. I think he fits in the mold. So after that, we got Kenny Yeboah. Yeah, boy, right?
Yeah,
boy.
Your boy, right?
Right.
Ryan, what do you got on him?
Kenny Yeboah. I mean, there's enough to like here for me. He gets up, like Robbie was saying about long. This guy he has sure hands as well. He's a good and not great athlete, but he goes and gets the ball. He has a pretty wide range. I think he's going to be a decent tight end at the next level. He's never going to be that guy that you're taking early, but he'll be one of those streaming tight ends or your tight end 2 if you're in a tight end premium league, because he has such a wide and large catch radius. That was what I picked up the most watching him, is that he just seems he's a vacuum. And if you get it inside that vacuum, he makes the catch. He's a just athletic enough guy that I think he'll find success at the next level.
I don't really have much to say other than like actually exactly what you said. It's almost identical to Hunter Long. Goes up there, gets a contested catch. I'm noticing a lot of these guys kind of have that ability, and I think that it's really an attribute to where the evolution of the tight end position is going. So I think we're going to start seeing more of these type of pass catching tight ends. Is definitely going to be interesting to take a look at.
Yeah, I did see Kenny Yeboah come out of Temple, transferred down to Ole Miss there. He killed it at Temple and didn't really slow down when he got down to Ole Miss. So, I think he has the potential to develop. I don't think he's a clear number 1 tight end going into the league, but depending on the team and depending on the development that he receives, really could be. Not a bad run blocker, runs pretty good routes. Billy, what do you got on him? Anything extra?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys. He's a little bit smaller stature for the tight end, but he's super, super athletic. And he did have his most production of his career in that one season in the SEC, so that's encouraging. And you really saw the athleticism kind of pop from the tight end position. He almost looks like a wide receiver when he's running downfield. I mean, part of it is a testament to the offense. He's a mismatch for linebackers for sure. This is a guy I'd like to see end up in like Arizona, where he's not going to be asked to do a lot in the run game, but he can kind of be that slot receiver, big body red zone threat guy. I think he could do all right in that sort of offense, just as like a general utility weapon type guy.
Yeah, Jordan, just FYI, I really like Bryson Haskins Bryson, the tight end for LA. I like him, the rookie that they got last year, Bryson Hopkins, I believe is his name. I think that guy's going to fill that role next year. And then I agree, Jay Love, man. I think this guy is going to be a player, not one that we're all excited about in fantasy, but a guy that we're going to be paying attention to for a while.
Yeah, and last tight end of the night here, Tony Poljan. So this is a big guy, right? We're talking about 6'7", 225, not so heavy, coming out of Virginia. So
former QB.
He came in at 251 in his pro day. He was 251.
All right, so put on some muscle, right?
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
So that helps in his best attribute, right? From what I've seen, his best attribute is his blocking. It's that, and he can catch a ball. He's not a route runner. He's not a real athletic guy. He's not going to beat somebody either before or after the catch. But being 6'7", he can get up there and go get a ball. Decent red zone target in that aspect, right? But I will say, I think that his ceiling is very limited just by the fact that he is not a guy that's going to get downfield for you or get into open space. Billy, what are your thoughts?
He does flash a little bit of speed getting down the sideline kind of after he catches some balls. Surprisingly so, after you watch him, like it takes him a day to get turned, but once he gets going, you're kind of like, whoa, okay, he got rolling there a little bit. I definitely think he's an attractive developmental guy for the right offense. I mean, he's going to go in the red zone and block, like you said. He's just a humongous man, and he's relatively athletic to be, hand in the dirt blocking. So I do think he'll do well. Passing attack, fantasy purposes, definitely a guy that we're going to need to see develop in the right offense for probably 3 to 4 years before we really see this guy flash.
Yeah, I actually think this is one of the sleepers. I think that he has extremely low floor because I think he could become extremely touchdown dependent later in his career because of his size and his the red zone is where he's going to do his damage. But this guy was a high school quarterback. He's more athletic on the field than he did look in his pro day. He's just enormous. And he, like you said, he has great hands. I think his athleticism is less to do with like straight line speed, quickness, agility, and more to do with like foot awareness, body control. Like he's able to really like manipulate his body in ways to stay in bounds, to get the length, to reach these catches. He's not going to wow you when he's moving with the ball in his hands, but he's more athletic than people are going to give him credit for based on those other little things.
That QB footwork is coming in handy.
Right. I love former quarterbacks who transfer to tight end. You got Logan Thomas, Dawson Knox, all of these guys that are like, whoa, those guys are athletic in a different way than maybe a tight end would be.
Yeah, I like Poyan and like an offense that's predicated on running 12 personnel. You know, where he comes in and does more so of the blocking, and if they get down the red zone, he could go up there and he could catch a jump ball. I picture something like he's on an offense where like they have their primary tight end one, like a Kittle, and then like he's like O'Dwelly, however you say his name, Ross O'Dwelly, that's over there in San Francisco. I picture him like that. And yes, Jordan, DFS show coming in season. Get ready for our DFS content coming soon here on the network.
There you go. Well, with that, boys, we're going to move it into the wide receivers, right? So we're starting. We got one person we want to mention first, but tonight it's going, 1 through however many we get through. We're going to see how far we can get into this list. But like I said, we got one specific person we want to point out. Ryan, I'm going to let you talk about this one.
Yeah, we on social media, we were shouting out what name a receiver you want us to look at that maybe we wouldn't look at otherwise. And we had at Joey the Tooth IDP suggest Jalen Camp from Georgia Tech. This guy was not on my radar coming into – I had a top 40 that didn't include him. And when I started doing some research, he hopped into my top 40 really quick. He hopped all the way up to 21. I saw he was there for you as well, Tom. This guy would have set the combine record for bench by 3 reps if the combine was this year. He is a physical freak, the strongest wide receiver in this class or any class for that matter. I love those strong receivers. I think A.J. Brown. He's fast. He lacks a little bit of quickness, I think, because he's so yoked, but he consistently has shown the flashes that I want to look for. He's so raw, untapped potential here with Camp. He didn't have the numbers. He had some injury concerns and he missed some games. But again, when you're that big and strong, I feel like he can overcome that with a professional level medical team. And B, I just can't quit that kind of power and the speed combination. Let's see what he ran, like a 4.43 at 6'2", 226 pounds. You watch this guy play football and you're like, whoa. And yeah, it's at Georgia Tech and he didn't have a lot of volume, but when I see Jalen Camp is on my radar in a big way, and that's a shout out to at Joey the Tooth IDP on Twitter for suggesting it because I had no idea, no exposure to him before.
I like that you shouted out Joey. He's a friend of the family. He's a friend of the Rumboyz family. Shout out to Joey.
Yeah, thank you, Joey.
Yeah, I will say when I was looking at what this guy does, right? I will say like stats didn't blow me away. It wasn't anything crazy, but actually seeing his play, the biggest thing I saw is just that when he's downfield, he's not really catching the ball with his hands, which for a guy his size, I was a little surprised. You expect a guy that's that big just to be able to moss a ball with one hand or with both hands way outside, right? He kind of lets it hit his chest, hit his pads, and kind of use that to gather the ball downfield. That's something you can easily work on, though, right? I think he has all the attributes to be a very good receiver in the league. It's a little bit of a development project, though, right? This is going to be a late round pick that a team can really work on and could mold into, I think, almost anything they want. That 4.43 speed at that size is very impressive. Really under 4.5 is not terrible. If you're over 6'1", 6'2", and over that 220, 230 mark for a receiver. So I'm pretty satisfied with the stats he put in, especially with that strength.
Whew. Yeah, this guy really reminds me of Eric Moulds, like a la Buffalo Bills, Doug Flutie, Eric Moulds. Just a physical freak out there. Like you said, though, Tom, he's a developmental project. Part of that's what they ask receivers to do at Georgia Tech. A lot of these guys come out, they're freaks, but they're not that polished. Just the kind of how they do things down there, which is fine, but they put together some monsters, that's for sure, and Jalen Camp's one of them.
Yeah, the only thing I want to note before we move on, the Jalen Camp injuries, the coaching staff nor Jalen Camp will comment on what those injuries were. I literally tried to break the internet finding out what his injuries were, and no comments whatsoever from anybody. That is a real big red flag for me, but I will ignore it temporarily because of the upside.
Yeah, that's something that is a red flag for me. Like while you guys were breaking down, I was trying to see what I could find. I couldn't find anything.
It's concerning.
Yeah,
it is.
Possibly, maybe UDFA. Who knows?
Are you talking about Josh Imatorbhebhe? Is that who in the comments? Josh Imatorbhebhe from Illinois? I like him too. He's got springy leg. We'll talk about him later.
Yeah, and Darius Hayward Bay vibes is what Jay Love said. I got you guys' next banner ready if you're ready.
Yeah, so Bill, you want to just rock it off? We're going to go. This is going to be number 1 on our consensus list. We do have Pinto's picks into this, so for the record, he's not getting left out here.
So number one for us in our consensus rankings is Jamar Chase. I think Ryan was the only one that did not have Jamar Chase as his number 1 overall receiver, but close there at number 2. Pretty much everywhere in the world, this guy's number 1. The production speaks for itself. He's just a ridiculous talent. 3 200-yard games last year, 780 yards, 20 TDs in the SEC. Playing with some other talent that produced as well. Just a big game, Bob. They're calling him the best wide receiver prospect since Julio. There's a lot to like. I don't see why you wouldn't be really excited about your team drafting this kid in the first round, and he will go early.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing against Jamar Chase. I really like him. I love how he tracks the ball. He's such an effortless athlete. There's no weaknesses in his game. I just think that, Jalen Waddle has the higher upside. Just for me personally, that is nothing against Chase. I'm a big fan.
I'm in agreement. I've been high on Jamar even before he decided to opt out, and I just felt like, you know what, this kid is that damn good that he can make that decision. And I wholeheartedly believe. Yeah, I wholeheartedly believe that he's going to prove it. He's going to prove it to all of us when he touches the NFL field. I'm just hoping that it's not if it's with Cincinnati, of course, it'll be good because he has rapport with Burrow, but I'm hoping that it's not, and that's for obvious reasons, to protect Burrow. But I like this kid. I'm excited to see where he goes.
Yeah, I will say Jamar Chase, there's a couple guys this year. Obviously, the whole sitting out in 2020 was a weird thing for the draft. Seeing guys like Jamar Chase, Micah Parsons, Caleb Farley that all sat out, and it really didn't impact their draft stock much, right? I didn't see many of them really fall. Jamar Chase is still being talked about in a top 5 pick, and you haven't seen him play in over a year. As far as his play, though, like we said, he's a monster. If you're really nitpicking, he could improve a little bit on some route running every once in a while. He just doesn't cut quite as cleanly. But hey, look at DK Metcalf. That's a guy that we thought couldn't run routes coming out of college, and look what he's doing in the NFL.
It's you don't pass on guys because they can't do everything. If they do it really well, let them just do it.
Exactly. Let them do what they do well, and they're gonna succeed for you.
I like how you went there with the DK comparison. Very nice.
Yeah, well, one of them is 6 foot 208, and the other one is 6 foot 1,200,000.
Yeah. But no, you know what I was saying, like not like
for sure. Yeah.
But for real though, Jamar Chase 6'1", 220. I saw him listed that in a couple spots. He's a well built kid and he plays like it.
Yeah, and again, nothing against Jamar Chase at all. So we're moving on. Go ahead.
Moving into the next one here, number 2, it's Jalen Waddle, right? Consensus number 2. And I think that looking at the top of this draft class for receivers, I think there is an argument to be made for Jalen Waddle. Some people, I'm not going to say they're right, but you could even say Devontae Smith, or there's a couple other guys that you could make an argument for them being a best receiver because there are a couple really good ones at the top of this class, right? So Jalen Waddle, though, obviously the Alabama boy, 5'10", 182, right? Sounds like he's coming in a little closer to 200 now, I believe. But obviously a dynamic guy. My biggest concern is he's not really a number one X receiver, right? It seems like he's a Z guy. Definitely could play in the slot if you really wanted him to, but there's not a lot to not like about Jalen Waddle, is there?
No, there's not. There's nothing that you can really hate about Jalen Waddle. I think he could come into the game and be very effective at the NFL level. I see him as fantasy, not fantasy speaking, but actual NFL speaking. Like you said, being a wide receiver too on a great offense. It kind of similar to how we saw great. Definitely the size and stature not the same, but how we saw Deontay's journey go with Pittsburgh, where he slowly stepped into that role. And now most of us would probably say, yeah, he's probably the wide receiver 2 there. So I could see Waddle edging in, making a name for himself and being a guy on any NFL offense. I'm excited for him. Many would say he could probably be wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. Like, situationally, I hope he goes somewhere with a legit number 1. I think he makes a real impact early. He's the real deal for me. I just watched this guy, and he's electric. He's tough. We saw him playing late in the year. Obviously, that ankle was broken. He was back a little early doing his little TO thing. I love the guts. And, hey, he was actually pretty productive when everybody in the building knew he was hurt, and he was getting the ball every time he went in the game. I just love the grit out of the kid. Pretty cool of Coach Saban to let him go out there and, get some time before the end of the year, knowing that he's probably going pro. But one thing that I really like about Jalen Waddle, he played as a freshman and was very productive in that offense. That's just a big deal to me in the SEC. If you're productive as a freshman at the wide receiver position in the SEC, you're a big dog. And, Jalen Waddle, he's not really a number 2 for me. He's more like that 1B to Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I do have to note, yes, we have this on record. Tom and Pinto had him as the wide receiver 4, and I had him as the 1. Just FYI, I just wanted to remind you. You can't fake this kind of speed. It is unreal. This guy makes even the fast guys he was playing with, like Henry Ruggs, not look fast. It's remarkable. His balance is unmatched, in my opinion. He looks like a ballerina out there. He's so dynamic in the open field. Yes, if the only reason that I'm not guaranteeing he's the wide receiver 1, by the way, an 18.9 career yards per catch average. Good God. The only reason I'm not saying lock it in is because he does have a bit of injury concern with this last year, and he's not the biggest guy. So that does concern me a little bit, but this is the closest thing to the Tyreek level type of impact player in this year's draft, I think. Just based on the speed, quickness, combination, balance. He's not as built as Tyreek, but I think he might legitimately be just as fast in the open field.
Yeah, game fast.
Right.
Yeah, this is a guy that speed is what's going to differentiate him, right? Like if he gets hit, he's going to go down. He's not breaking a tackle. But if he can create separation, you're not catching him. You're right. I feel like that's kind of where we're at. So, Ryan, that takes us to number 3.
The Heisman Trophy winning Devontae Smith. I wish I could love this guy more. We all had him at 3, except for you, Tom. You had him at 2. I want to put him higher. It has nothing to do with his performance and everything to do with his size. He's too thin. It's not that he's too small. It's that when I look at him, his legs are so skinny, and it weirds me out. It weirds me out watching him. I'm like, he's going to snap in half. It's amazing that the guy didn't get injured. And everybody says, well, look, he didn't get injured but it's a different level, even from the SEC in the NFL. And I just could see a Deshaun Jackson. That's the other guy that reminds me of that thin of legs. And Deshaun Jackson has played 16 games in 10 years. That's my concern. This guy's going to be dynamic on the field. He's so rangy. He's got so much speed and quickness. His hands are so strong. He's like a generational talent on twig legs. And that's my only concern is the durability of a 16-game season throughout his career. Will he ever play 16 games? I don't know. And look, he's a tough kid. I want to be wrong on him because if this guy stays healthy, I think he might even have more upside than Waddle just based on the increase in the height and the seeming range he has red zone area.
I worry about Devontae myself personally because it's exactly what you said, Ryan. You know, when you talk about a guy that's skinny and those legs, I mean, he's 10 pounds heavier than me. Like that's, and I should not. I would never be playing in the NFL. Like that's scary. You know, granted he has more muscle mass on and so forth, but when you start thinking about that size, and then for a lot of you guys out there that maybe from a fantasy football standpoint playing dynasty leagues, you want a big frame guy on your dynasty roster because he's going to be able to like take the root of the sport. I don't know how long this kid lasts, and I don't want to put that out there on him, but that's why I have him. Myself personally, if you guys saw my Instagram page, I ranked him at 3. You guys have him here ranked at 3, just because I worry about the longevity. That's it. That's the only reason why. But generational talent, like you said, and the kid can go out there and play ball, and he has heart.
Yeah. So looking at his career average, yards per reception, 16.9. Last year alone, he went 117 catches for 1,800 yards and 23 touchdowns. Those are monster numbers. Monster numbers. I mean, this is a guy that gets off the line quick. He runs beautiful routes, right? I think he one of, if not the best route runner in this draft. And one of the things he does best, albeit being so thin, you don't want him to take hits, but he does a very good job of following blocks downfield, right? I don't know if you guys have seen, but if he's running short routes and there's receivers downfield from him, he's following those guys, or he's following O linemen that have made their way downfield to block him ahead, so he's not getting laid out by linebackers regularly, right? He's not taking as many big hits as I think some other receivers do. So I definitely do have some concerns about his size. Being an Eagles fan, obviously I saw Deshaun Jackson for years getting hurt after game 1 and then not seeing him again until game 16. So there is some fear, but I'm trying to get past that and just look at, again, the word that you used there, Robbie, is generational talent. I think that he really could be that if healthy.
Yeah, I mean, he's a 3 for me, and probably only because of that size. I mean, if he was even 190, just the well-rounded natural talent that he is of a wide receiver. I mean, this guy, is getting the ball. Everybody knows he's getting the ball and makes incredible plays, look routine. And one thing about it, we talked about the concern. Not that I'm on the opposite side of the fence. It is a concern for me, that size, obviously, even moving up to the NFL. However, 39 games in 3 years in the SEC, and I think he has a high football IQ. So, I really like a lot of things about him, and he's managed to stay healthy. Maybe part of that is, knowing when to get down and be smart and protect himself. Some guys have a knack for just staying healthy. I think he might be one of them. 39 games in 3 years is pretty impressive for a guy that's, 170 maybe. I question that even.
I mean, I like how you said that maybe he's just one of those guys that can stay healthy. I mean, you look at a completely opposite position, the linebacker position, those guys, they're laying out hits and they get injured forever. And London Fletcher never missed a game. So you're right. There's that occasion where we see that in the NFL. Keyword occasion.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, Billy, that takes us on to number 4. Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota.
Yeah, Big Ten guy. This guy is the real deal. I'm a big Rashad Bateman believer. Just watching him play in the Big Ten, he's been a dominant guy we're talking about for a while. It just came out the other day. We heard that he was a little bit undersized. I think he weighed in at 190. Well, he didn't play like he was 190 because we all believed he was 110, and we were shocked when he was only 190 and a little bit shorter than we thought. So, hey, obviously it's working out for him. I don't care what the paper says. Watch the tape. The guy can play football. A lot of games played. 1,200 yards and 11 touchdowns in the Big Ten as a sophomore. 51 catches, 700 yards as a freshman. And, not that many games this last senior year, but still, nonetheless, the production is there. The development is there. I think this guy is the most likely in this class to be that Justin Jefferson, that guy that just burst on the scene. He's a Pro Bowler, number 1 in his offense when he gets there that maybe you're not thinking about. This guy's a really good football player, and in Minnesota, that offense is no simple little thing. PJ Fleck is running some stuff up there, and it's all based around Rashad Bateman's skill set.
Yeah, shout out to Pinto, who's got Bateman as his wide receiver too. I like Bateman. He's a ball hawk. He is very effective in space. He has the word I remember thinking is soft. He has soft, sure hands. He catches everything. I foresee him more so being a slot threat. I don't want to see him be a team's wide receiver one. I want to see him go to a place kind of like Jefferson did with Thielen that can at least draw some attention and give him some space underneath to operate, because I think he's going to be good. I just don't think he has the same kind of –
Ryan. He really reminds me of that Stephon Diggs type dude. So funny you brought up the Vikings reference. That's just where he fits for me.
Yeah, I really do think he's going to be good. My only reason I have him at 4 is because I don't think he has the ceiling that the 3 guys we just mentioned before do.
Yeah, I like Rashad Bateman because, look, if you're a corner, he's going to embarrass you. I don't know if you guys remember and one mixtape tour where the dudes, they would do all the basketball tricks. Yeah, he's going to embarrass you that style. Like, he's just going to go up, turn, boom, catch the ball right there at the highest point. His over-the-shoulder catch is just beautiful. It just falls right into the breadbasket. I promise you, angels sing before the ball touches this man's fingertips. I can understand the ranking of 2. I personally have him at 4, and I see here you guys came to a consensus at 4. But you know, I do think that the other 3 that we talk about are better than this kid. He will get 2.5 to 4.5 yards of separation between him and the corner from the moment that ball is launched in the air. He's got burners. He's got a great stride throughout his route. He stays low throughout his route. And then, you know, he'll get big when it's time. I love everything about Rashad Bateman. He is a receiver's receiver.
Yeah, it's, you know, you keep bringing up Minnesota guys, and you brought up Ryan, Justin Jefferson, and how you thought Bateman would be a good slot receiver. Do you remember what they said about Justin Jefferson coming into the league?
Yes,
he'd be a great slot receiver.
He'll be a good slot receiver.
I like that call, guys. It makes sense to me.
Right?
If he goes to a place like
it does,
that, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, looking at his film, I don't necessarily think he had, you know, great second gear. His 40 time was great, but like on the field, it doesn't seem like he's going to stretch it like a you know, Jalen Waddle is, right? He's not burning people over the top. But that being said, he has, like we said, great hands and a huge catch radius. He catches the ball away from his body very easily. Does a good job tracking balls that are errant downfield. So like if your quarterback's just throwing up ducks, he'll go get them, right? He's also very good about sensing what the quarterback's doing. If he's under pressure, he'll come back for the ball. He'll make himself get open. He'll break his route if need be to make a play happen. So I think there's a lot of positives for him. I think that helps bump him up here, even though, you know, like we said, maybe not the fastest guy in the world, and not the greatest blocker downfield. So, you know, not many downsides to it. Aside from the one thing is 2020 was a pretty poor year up in Minnesota. Less an issue of him. I think just the whole team seemed a bit off.
Yeah. All right. Next is Terrace Marshall at 5, right? Who's starting Marshall? I lost track of who's.
That's you, my man.
It's me. All right, cool. Terrace Marshall, another LSU receiver. We all had him at 5, except Tom, you had him at 8. He's a top 10 guy. I think we're all agreeing on that. I think the argument is just a little bit where in that top 10. I didn't have a lot of notes when I was watching this guy's film and looking at the stats. He's athletic enough. You'll never get me to believe that him and Jamar Chase ran 4.38. Sorry, I don't think LSU people can keep track of time. So,
That's
but he's a
38-yard dash.
Yeah, exactly. He's athletic enough. He's no slouch in that category. He's got sure hands. He's effective. He's efficient. I think he might have a bit. The thing is, he did have a 39-inch vertical, which when you're flirting with 40, that makes me think, okay, red zone, baby. And he's 6'3", 200-ish. I like his size. I just think nothing makes me go, oh my gosh, with this guy. But his floor is about as safe as you can get.
I'll make mine really quick. 82.1% in the slot. What else do you do? That should answer all your questions and justify why this guy is here in the top 5 in this conversation. I love Terrence Marshall, and I think that he can be elite in the slot at the NFL level.
Yeah, I mean, it's me having him at I think it was 8. You said, right, Ryan? It's nothing against him necessarily. Like we said, it's a top 10 guy. There's other guys I like more. That's the biggest thing, right? And I think going from 4 to 10, I think, is probably the toughest spot for me right here. And then kind of that 11 to 16, 17 was a little tough. There's some really good receivers in second, third, fourth rounds of this draft, I think. Only things I didn't love about him, not a great deep ball guy, not bad, but definitely not his forte. And then every once in a while kind of lacks that, concentration, drops a ball that should be easier, too focused on trying to get upfield, which it's just a focus thing, something that they can work on going into the league.
He'll be Slant Boy 2.0.
Yeah, and that's kind of exactly what I have here for notes on him. He thrives over the middle. He's everything you want in a wide receiver: size, speed, toughness. He high points the ball, and he's aggressive with his hands when he's catching in traffic. It's going to make him a great red zone threat for an offense that likes to throw the ball 8 yards downfield and doing so. I mean, he is an artist at getting open. He has some subtle nuances that I kind of like watching him run downfield, where he has a way of just kind of lulling a D-back to sleep and then hitting the gas pedal by him, where they're kind of like, oh, there he went kind of thing. He's not explosive. I don't see 4.38. Speed's not a question. I like a little bit of his game. It's a little bit different, old school. Back-to-back years with 15-plus yards per catch and 10 touchdowns. But I think if you look at the stats, you kind of see what he is. He's going to be a high-volume, kind of over-the-middle slot guy. And he's a red zone threat because he's tough with the ball in his hands and makes contested catches.
Yeah, so that takes us to Rondale Moore. One of my favorite guys in the draft, even though I think he's falling on a lot of people's lists, right? Yeah, I know. Ryan, you're not a big fan of him.
He's going to wind up outside my top 10.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is it the size?
That is one of the things, yes.
I'm with you, Ryan.
For me, there's a lot to like about him, right? And I'm looking at this from a fantasy perspective. Maybe not the best pick for a team. And we've talked about him a little bit, so I want to keep this kind of short. But I think he's a flexible guy that can kind of play, out of the backfield in the slot. You can move him around a little bit, get creative with him. He has speed. He's shifty. He can make plays happen. That's what he did at Purdue. You get the ball in his hands, and he makes fun plays happen that are those kind of, big plays in fantasy, right? He goes for 30, 40 yards and a touchdown. So I think it's a great late round pick for somebody in fantasy because I don't think the value is going to be there. Everyone's going to be concerned about volume because he misses catches. That's the big, talk of the town. So I think that you can pick him up late in the rounds, or even depending on your league, he could fall to free agency depending on how high people are on him. So I think it's a way to keep your eye on, because I think if, depending on where he lands, San Francisco, a lot of motion, could be a fun one.
Yeah, I mean, this guy did it all at Purdue. 5'9", 180, 4.29, 40. I love his game, but I see like this weird running back wide receiver thing going on with him, like a Kamara type role for him. Like, I don't see a real wide receiver. And at Purdue, he did a lot of things out of the backfield and on like kind of reverses and stuff like that. But we're really going off 2018 as a freshman. Most of his stats and tape that you want to pay attention to are there. 2019, he did show some improvements in yards per catch. 2020 was basically a wasted year of eligibility for him. But 114 receptions, 1,258 yards, 12 touchdowns. It's pretty impressive numbers. However, if you look beyond it, 11 yards per catch kind of shows that he's not necessarily a downfield guy for those opportunities, even though he posted that 4.29 speed. 11 yards per catch for a guy that runs 4.29. That's a little bit of a concern. It doesn't make sense. He does squat 600 pounds, and that does show up on film. He does break some tackles when he gets in the open field, but I see a very minimal route tree with this guy. He's just really a playmaker, and wherever he goes, they're going to be creative in finding him ways to touch the football just because the athlete he is. But make no mistake, he's not an 80-catch wide receiver by any means. He's maybe a 40-catch guy who's going to hit some big plays here or there, but you see, it proofs in the pudding here. 11 yards per catch. I'm not the highest on this guy, and I'm kind of getting lower as I keep studying here and looking into it, just because I just see a really good football player. I don't see him do anything that scares an NFL team, and a lot of guys run 4.29 at the next level. So
I love small players.
Oh no,
I can get with that, man. I really can.
I like underdogs. I think it's that. So what's hard for me, and where I guess I kind of get narrow minded with Rondale Moore, is that I want to see him succeed because of his size, because of his measurables. So that's where it's difficult for me to where it's like, nah, people are just moving him just because of his measurables. Like, nah, like if you can play, you can play. So that's just where I'm at. This guy is Saquon if Saquon was a receiver. There.
Yeah, he's got like Tyreek quickness. He's ridiculous in space. But my concern is that 11 yards per catch his freshman year when he had all of his big numbers. Why? He had a very low ADOT, like a comically low ADOT. I'm got to fill in for Pinto and talk about ADOT. The thing is, he is that dual threat guy, and I think he relied too much on his athleticism and didn't develop the same way, like you saying with the route trees. He doesn't have great hands. So, yes, the size concerns me, but I don't see sure hands. I see an athletic specimen that is undersized that I don't see where he's going to create that niche that he's going to be able to be successful in just because, if he's trying to – you want to beat somebody downfield with him with that speed, he's going to drop half those big balls. If you want to throw him screens, well, that didn't seem to work that well outside his freshman year for Purdue. Like they gave him the ball, but he never 13.3 yards per catch is the biggest yards per catch average he had, which was in 2019. Last year, I know last year was weird, but he has 7.7 yards per catch. Like what happened? Why isn't that happen? The stats are telling me a different story than what the measurables are. So he's going to fall out of my top 10 pretty quick, especially as I fall more and more in love with some of these other guys that I just barely put behind him.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, Billy, you said he's 5'9". He's actually listed now officially measured at 5'7".
Ooh.
But he does have a 42.5-inch vertical.
Yeah, it's impressive, man. Like
and Ryan, isn't that explosiveness?
Yes, but the numbers say otherwise.
They do.
It's Rondale to end up in the right spot, and he's going to be fine. But if one of these teams, like the Lions, that they draft him early because of what he is, it'll just never work out. You know what I mean? We need this kid to end up somewhere.
Anybody that goes to the Lions dies.
Yeah,
that's where careers go to die.
Yeah, we don't want him to go there. You know what I mean? But one of those situations, I don't see him catching on. But the right scenario, they'll find a way.
All right. Well, that takes us into our next man here. Billy, I believe you're up.
Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
This is Elijah Moore, one of my favorite guys in this whole draft class. I have him at number 6. I guess I didn't look to see where you guys had him. Not obviously relatively high, but number 6 for me. What's that?
Y'all were Pinto had him at 8. You had him at 6. Tom has him at 3, and I have him at 14. He's going to be higher than 14 by the time it's all done.
Yeah. So I'm a sucker for those 5'10", 5'9" speed guys. That 185, 190, that T.Y. Hilton mold. That's just I'm a sucker for those guys, and he fits this mold. I mean, he's quicker than fast, and he's fast. He's a legit threat to score on every single play. He's a bubble screen, open field nightmare for defenses. I mean, this guy looks like a punt returner when he has the ball in his hands. He plays strong at the line of scrimmage if you press him, plays through contact with the ball in the air, and he plays with a lot more ferocity than you expect from a 5'9", 185-pound guy. Like, I don't think you want to fight Elijah Moore. He's that type of dude. Double-digit receptions, 7 out of 8 games in 2020, over 100 yards in 6 of those 8 games. I just don't see an offense this kid wouldn't fit in. And this is another guy that I feel like could step in year one, and we're like, whoa, we have a superstar in the making here early.
Yeah, sorry, guys. I was just reading what my notes were. Elijah Moore, again, he's going to be higher than 14 by the time I'm done with all of my stuff. He is the ultimate slot hero. He has really good hands. He's incredibly quick. And like you said, he's quicker than he is fast, but he's still fast. He's also really tough for his size, not elusive, dangerous in space. I think he's an exceptionally athletic receiver. I think that there is a lot of room in the NFL on most teams in reality for this guy to line up in the slot and be effective for quite some time. I think as far as floors go, I like his.
Could draft the family law firm team name if you draft both Rondale and Elijah Moore. Says
Yeah,
I'll
I
get
get
TJ.
I had a more.
No, I was gonna say Panthers
reference in
draft
my
him.
Notes I didn't read. That's awesome.
Panthers draft him, and they have the offices of more, and more.
That would
Oh
be
my goodness!
Yes,
That is
Panthers.
comedy. What I'll say about Elijah Moore is you guys are absolutely correct. This guy's a straight dog. He is not afraid of contact. He is ready to play physical, and I think that's because of his size. Like you said, Billy, and kind of going back to what I was mentioning about how I like to see these smaller size guys, these 5'9", 5'10s, get their opportunity. Seeing this kid reminds me a little bit of when I got to interview Debo, and when I see like that size and stature with him without pads, I'm like, yo, he is going to mess somebody up. Like Billy said, it's probably a guy that you wouldn't want to fight. He's that physical coming off the line. And then, like you said, I mean, his speed is up there. It's up there with the best of these guys we mentioned already previously ahead of him. So what? We're 8 days, if I am correct, away from the draft. So he's only going to rise.
Yeah, as far as Elijah Moore goes, I mean, not a lot you guys haven't said. I mean, soft hands, gets the ball out of, picks it out of the air easy, finds open field, gets vertical. Yeah, I mean, what doesn't he do, right? Probably the toughest thing he has is just being so slim. He's not great at breaking tackles. He's not getting away from defenders once they're on him, right? But if he has a little bit of space, he can make a miss. So definitely a lot of upside for him. I do like him a lot.
Just a production monster.
Exactly. And I just love the idea of the Panthers having the more and more office there in their receiver room.
More Moors. They need more Moors.
More.
I love it.
All right. Well, this takes us to a guy that I'm personally really high on. Actually, I do like a lot. Kadarius Toney, right? Out of Florida, we're looking at a guy 5'11", 193. So I think that I see shades of Rondale Moore, but a better receiver, right? A way better deep threat. I think he's probably the second best deep threat in this draft, aside from Jalen Waddle. He's able to make people miss. The only issues he has is, in tight coverage, he's not big enough to fight somebody off, right? In the red zone, it gives, I have concerns there. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And another guy being thin gets brought down pretty easy. But other than that, I mean, God, his deep ball or his ability to track a deep ball and go down and get it. I feel like
he gets scared. I feel like he gets scared when he hears footsteps behind him, and that's my biggest concern. It's like, bro, like the dude's like 2 yards away from you, man. Like, just commit. Like, just commit. Like, lay out there, and that's one of the things that worries me. It's like I want to see him take risks. Like it was that one major pass that like some people will say that it was overthrown. Some people will say like I say that Darius could have caught it and he should have caught it. But the pass at the Senior Bowl, if you guys know what I'm talking about, it's a post route where like. Bro, like all you do is just leap for that. Just leap for that. It doesn't seem like he had kind of given up. But I mean, all in all, Twitter went crazy over the video. They went crazy over how he ran it. So I mean, I look at it often. I'm like, all right, is it that he's scared? When a corner's close up on him, because like you said, I mean, or is it that like you said, he's not big enough to fight off that corner? So that's my only hang up. But I haven't said. I think I had him personally at like 7, or 8, something like that. I have to check Instagram.
So I'm kind of like right there with you, Robbie. Like I'm a connoisseur of the wide receiver position, and watching Kadarius Toney, like I like his game, but he's another guy with some of that running back in him, and I think more so than Rondale Moore, I see running back in Kadarius Toney, and by a mile. I mean, he breaks tackles and looks for holes like a natural running back. When you see him get the ball out of the backfield, it's like he kicks into a mode where he knows like how to run the ball, but I don't see him as like a real natural pass catcher. Like Tom mentioned earlier, he lets the ball get in on his pads. He like you said, Robbie, when guys are close, he doesn't make the play. He needs space so he can really kind of get that ball into to really grab it. He's not just a natural catch it with his eyes and his hands type of guy. And I just see, he's able to run routes, but most of his game's in tight, kind of that option route stuff that you see a lot of running backs run, and that's just what I see out of him. Yeah, he has a knack for exploding man-to-man over the middle, but usually when you see him do it, it's because he's matched up with a safety that's coming down. He can get a little space because maybe they're not the best in coverage, and sometimes I question if he would be able to get that same space in the NFL against an NFL safety, and my gut tells me no. I see shades of Antonio Gibson, not quite the physical build, but just that guy that he's a receiver, but he can play running back. I wouldn't be surprised to see him kind of do that T.Y. Montgomery type role where he plays receiver, but some running back too, or doesn't end up switching positions if he lands in the right place.
Yeah, I have gone up and down on this guy, and I think he'll wind up – I have him the lowest of everybody at 10, and I think he's going to wind up higher. I just found out earlier today he did not have a single drop of any throws to him more than 10 yards down the field during the season. Like, in a lot of ways, yes, he's Rondale Moore in a lot of ways, but he's quite a bit bigger, and he's got much better hands. But he's that same kind of electric slot guy, so shifty and elusive, wicked moves. And again, that no drops thing is big for me. I feel like he plays stronger when he's in space trying to navigate than rather he's trying to run down the field. I feel like that's when he does go down easier. But in the open field, he displayed some toughness for me that I was impressed with. And again, I was lower on him, thinking anybody could look good if Pitts is taking the whole defense. But I think he's a special player. He may not be like the fastest top end speed guy, but that quickness is fantastic. And again, the hands, which he didn't have, again, no drops on any 10 plus yards and 31 targets last season, 0 drops. Like that's good. I didn't see that at first, but those numbers, that's from Pro Football Focus. Those numbers are impressive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that takes us into Kadarius Toney.
Oh wait,
that was Kadarius Toney.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Diami Brown, my bad. I misread the list. Don't. God. Hey, at least my mic wasn't muted.
Yeah, you weren't muted.
So
So Diami Brown. So coming out of North Carolina, 6'1", 185, right? So I like that size, a little bit bigger. Not talking about these guys that are down in the 170s. And there's a lot to like coming out of North Carolina this year. Another guy that does, pretty well downfield. Same thing though, struggles battling off corners, right? He's a little bit better off than Kadarius Toney is, but again, not a guy that's going to fight, hand fight the ball here. Not a great second gear either. Other than that, I don't know. I'm high on him. Not anything crazy though. He's not, number one receiver. I don't think going on to any team this year.
No. I love Diami Brown. I am huge, way up there on this guy. 6'1", 185, ran a low 4.4. He's my personal favorite in this. I love to rank him higher. Fortunately, he's got a little developing to do. Some of these other guys are just more NFL ready to me, but the talent, the player, the game, I love this guy. I really hope he ends up on one of my teams. Hopefully the Colts would be an awesome addition, but they're not picking wide receiver in the second round more than likely. But my personal favorite, such a smooth football player. He makes things look easy. When I watch him play, I see young Reggie Wayne. Like, he's just like, whoa, that was kind of sweet. But nothing about him really, blows you away. He's not the fastest guy. He's not the quickest guy. But then he gets the ball in his hands, and you're like, whoa, he kind of made that guy look dumb. Just surprising. And at times you're like, man, why doesn't he get the ball 30 times a game? Why aren't they throwing this guy all the time? He has that kind of feel when you watch him play. And, I just love the talent. Someone's getting a serious weapon in the round 2 of the NFL draft. Consistent numbers over the last 2 seasons. Playing with a young quarterback out there at UNC. So I really like it. I really like the guy. Round 2 steal, like I said. I hope he ends up in Indy or maybe Kansas City as a late second round pick. I could see him maybe falling just a little bit because of the fit.
Yeah, I think he's quite strong for his size. He's not like Jalen Camp type of a player, but at his size where he is, I think he plays pretty tough. He has sure hands. I had him ranked at 7. I was the highest among us. Pinto was the lowest at 11. So that's a pretty good range of we're all in the same boat. there. Robbie, where'd you have De'Ami Brown at?
9. No, 10.
That's what I mean. Everybody's in the same.
And 10 feels low. Like he's not better than some of these guys right now, but I guess I can see him being like maybe the top 5 receiver in this class when he gets going.
Yeah, I don't see any athletic weaknesses with this guy. He's not an elite per se athlete in any sort of capacity, maybe elusiveness. He is quite shifty, but there's no weaknesses in his game. I don't think he has the ceiling, but there's no way in hell this guy busts.
I think the reason why he doesn't have the oohs and ahs eyes on him, I think it's really just a school thing. It's you played at UNC, and I think that's where people are a little detracted because we're so quick to eye these big school receivers. That's really the only justification I have for people not really being hot or not really being cold. They're just like, with this kid. I see the Reggie Wayne comparison. He does make things look very easy. His measurables. So I won't say that his measurables are like this player, but his playing style reminds me a lot of Keyshawn Johnson. The way that he's more of a possession receiver. He's not the fastest guy out there, but he damn straight the slowest guy out there either. And he can get in an open space and get you a couple of yards after the catch and also maybe get you some touchdowns along the way.
What's crazy is he had over 20 yards per catch over the last 2 seasons.
It was like 20.2?
20.3 in 2019 and 20.0 in 2020.
My bad.
Damn
Okay,
good.
yeah.
That's crazy, right? Like, not very many guys do that. I think he's not busting. That's the only thing I know.
No.
All right. Well, Billy, what do you have on Tylan Wallace out of Oklahoma State?
So, yeah, Tylan Wallace, I'm the lowest. I have him at 15. Where's he coming in as our consensus here?
I have him at 6.
Yeah, that was way off. So I like his game. 6'1", 190. There's a plethora of those guys in this draft. Everybody seems to be that 6', 6'1", 185, 195 type range. His athleticism definitely jumps out at you, and he found a way to impact every game. Even if he only had like 2 catches, it'd be like 2 for 49. And he hit a big one, that kind of guy. But I really feel like, to me, just another Oklahoma State wide receiver, kind of a product of the offense down there. I do think he's a bit less polished of a route runner than he's going to be like a consistent player. I really see Kenny Stills at the next level, and to me, Kenny Stills just isn't that exciting.
Yeah, I like him a lot, obviously, if I'm going to rank him at 6. I really fell in love with the way this guy plays, per se. He makes really big catches, like those crazy catches that you want to see somebody make. This guy makes them. He only had a 33-inch vertical, and I found that shocking to believe after watching his tape, because that dude looked like he was jumping out of the stadium every game at least once. He also is pretty daggum strong. He has very sure hands. He's not the fastest top flight, like straight line speed, but he's extremely explosive. He runs through tackles sometimes. He's not afraid of contact. I think he plays bigger than what his size is. And again, I think he's more athletic even than the measurables show. And you got to love the stats where he had 1491, then 903, and then 922 yards the last 3 seasons, averaging anywhere from 17.3 to 15.6 yards per catch. I like that consistent production. I know it's Oklahoma State, it's the Big 12, but when on tape, this guy was legitimately jumping off the page. And again, 33-inch vertical seems low for what I was seeing on the film.
Yeah, I have Wallace a little bit lower around about that 14 range as well. But after hearing your take there, Ryan, I'm not going to move him as high as you did there, brother. But
he might not end up at 6, but I was feeling that at the moment.
No, but when you look at the stats, like let's remove pro day and everything else. Like when you just look at the stats, the box score, it's like, man, this kid can really game and he can really play. Having someone that can get me, he's not going to do it at the NFL level, but I mean, if he can get me, 700 yards in the season, I mean, like, damn, like I'm like, all right, like go ahead, rookie. That means you're only going to get better. So I like this kid's upside.
Yeah, not much to say you guys didn't already. I mean, the guy gets separation. He catches the ball consistently. That's two things you want in an NFL receiver, right? My only concern is kind of that play level going from the Big 12 there. The defenses aren't always the best. So is he going to be able to get that same separation in the NFL? I'm not saying he can't, but there is a level of hesitation there at least, right? So Ryan, moving on to
Amon
The
Ra.
coolest name. The coolest name in the
Amon-Ra
draft.
St. Brown.
Yes. Well, I think Equanimous
I don't know,
might
there's-
take him.
Hey,
It's our cousin.
Tutu Atwell, Daz Newsome.
Chatarius Tutu Atwell. I like to say his
Yeah.
full name. That's more fun.
Sorry, Jatarius Tutu. there's a couple good ones.
Yeah, Amon Ra is pretty wicked though. I will say where were our I was by far the lowest on him. I have him at 18. Pinto has him at 7. And then the 9 and the 12. So this is probably one of those guys that we're one of the farthest away from. At least I am from y'all are relatively closer. I just don't. I wanted to see more touchdowns. Maybe like there wasn't enough. He plays bigger than his size. He's good at tracking the ball and high pointing it. He goes and gets the ball and he catches with his hands. He's shifty and he's tough when he has the ball in his hands. But nothing makes me go, ooh. I just see like a guy that never makes it past the wide receiver 2, maybe gets slotted up in that wide receiver 3 spot. I mean, is he better than I think it's his brother, right? Equanimous.
Yeah. Is it his brother? I thought it was his brother or older cousin, but yeah, they're
it could
related.
be his cousin too. I remember reading about it. I can't remember which, but like, is he better than Equanimous, who's like 6'5" and has all of these like natural things?
He's a lot better.
I'm not sure, man. Like, I understand why you think he's a lot better. I get it, but none of his numbers pop either. 13.5 to 11.7 yards per catch. 7 touchdowns was the most, although he did that in 2020 in only 6 games. So that's a little more impressive. But again, 11.7 yards per catch. I don't see him having that next level stuff in any aspect of his game yet.
Though that whole family kind of like just like worries me a little. So like I feel you. I mean, your take is exactly my take. I did rank him at on Instagram. I put him at 10 on my rankings. I mean, what I'm attracted to is everything that you just said. He goes up, gets the ball at the high point, tracks really well, he can box out, all of those things. So that's why I have him at 10. I just need to figure out whether or not this kid has the passion or not. You know, like you said, we just need to see more. But I think that the upside is definitely there. The wingspan is freaking freakish. It's at almost 80 inches. This guy is he's what you want in a receiver. You just gotta hope that he's gonna do it at the next level, and that's what worries me. It's probably the family name, honestly, it pushes me away.
Yeah, I mean the biggest word you brought up there that hits for me is passion, right? Because in 2020 it didn't look like he had it. I don't know what it was, but like when he was on the field, like it didn't look like he was trying. He wasn't. Like he was lazy in his routes. He wasn't putting forth all that effort that he was on film in 2019. So if if he can step that up into 2021, moving into the NFL, I think he could be a solid 2 or 3 receiver. Like we said, I don't think he's a number 1, but that doesn't mean he couldn't have a very good career if he, finds that drive, right? So not a whole lot else to say on him, I don't think. So moving it on here to Michigan boy, another Big Ten.
Wait, Billy, did you do Amon Ra?
No, I didn't.
Oh, yeah, we
my
gotta
bad.
get Billy.
My
I think Billy likes him.
Billy.
I mean, he's number 9 for me. I watched his game. One thing that's pretty cool about him that I kind of dug up on him, his dad was a 2-time Mr. Universe, so he knows a little bit about staying in shape and doing all that stuff and kind of the work ethic goes along with it. Maybe the passion wasn't there, but if you do watch him and he gets going in games, he's definitely an emotional leader of his offense. And I love to see guys that can impact the team when things aren't going well. Everybody can kind of look to that fiery guy. I feel like he's shown flashes of being that at times. He has 3 years of production at USC, and to me, he's a complete wide receiver. I don't see the 4.41 on tape necessarily, but he's fast. Maybe like a 4.51 type fast. He's fast enough, but nothing crazy. Like you said, Ryan, there's nothing too terribly just sexy about the guy, but I just see kind of a guy that's complete At 9, it feels low because I feel like he's a little more polished than people realize, but I think that's more of a testament to the depth of this wide receiver class. He's technically sound, and I think he'll be on the field early week 1.
All right, and now it's on to Mr. Big Ten. It means more. Hashtag Chris Pinto's not here to defend the SEC.
It means more. I like the way you said that. It means more.
Somebody has to say that in this show, right? Pinto's not here to say it, and we're not going to say it about the SEC. So
I will later. It's got to happen.
There you go. So Nico Collins, though, out of Michigan. This is a big guy, right? 6'4", 215. Almost 80-inch wingspan. You gotta love those measurables, right? Watching him play, though, again, some definite positives here. The biggest things I'm seeing with him is not the fastest guy. He's not DK getting downfield at 6'4", right? But he can get up and get the ball. Obviously, he does track the ball well. When he does go downfield. And definitely has strong hands, which is a huge thing for a guy of his size. So I think he's a solid red zone threat and, just a good player to have. A lot of teams struggle to find a guy that's that size that can box somebody out, go up and get the ball, not just a 5'10" little grocery bagger like they get up in New England.
Yeah, I really like Nico Collins. Like I've said before, I'm kind of partial to Michigan receivers, being a Big Ten fan myself. Michigan has a track record of producing some dogs. But when I watch Nico Collins, he looks imposing on DBs when they're trying to tackle him. He's made the catch. They're trying to bring him down out there by himself. That's when you really see his size. But the way he runs and moves, he doesn't look like a big 6'4" guy, which is kind of impressive. But you do notice it when they try to tackle him. Don't even compare this guy to Devin Funchess. This dude can fly, turn the corner, run by you. He doesn't look 6'4" until the ball's in the air, essentially. When he goes up and gets it from DBs, you can really see where it's like, whoa, that guy was hanging off of him and looked like his little brother playing in the backyard. His size does show up. I really like that with the speed. Not a ton of receptions at the college level at Michigan, but huge yard per catch, 16.6 and 19.7 for the progression coming into this last year here. He's a bit less polished of a route runner. May take a bit for him to get open consistently at the next level because he's not really always open in college. He's making a lot of catches with guys hanging off of him, but he is that type of guy. Does he need to be that open? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, he used his strength a lot to come down with 50-50 balls. And my notes, his hands are as strong as his body is. Like, he's so strong in every aspect. He has just, again, good hands, catch the ball away from his body. He's not that quick, and he doesn't have, like, elite-level acceleration. But he can get going. I see him in a lot of ways. Like, it's funny, you mentioned Devin Funchess. I have some Benjamin and Funchess comps in the red zone because, man, he wins those 50-50s with power. So when you're in the red zone, you basically got a tight end up there that if you put just almost any DB on him, he's just going to box him out and score the touchdown. He's too big, and he plays with that size. And like you said, it's easy to forget how big he is when you see him moving because he moves well. This is not some sort of all-world athlete. This is an excellent athlete with that size. I wanted to comment. We ranked him either 11 or 12, every one of us. There was almost no range. Yeah, it's like we all kind of see, okay, this guy in what is an exceptional wide receiver class, this guy has that big body that I really love to see, especially in touchdown-heavy leagues. I will move him up in those.
If freaking Antonio Gates was a wide receiver and not a tight end, it would be Nico Collins. They play the exact same. If you watch them on film, the way they box out to go get that ball, Nico plays football like he's power forward, like he's Kevin Garnett, that just plays football and is not in a whack ass Celtics jersey. That was my take.
All right. I like it. So that brings us to Ryan. This is our boy. We've been talking about him for a while now, right? We talked about the quarterback here, but then we realized, oh, sorry, am I skipping people? I'm skipping people.
No, God, the next. Oh, this is my other guy. This is my other guy.
Your other guy.
Two guys.
This is your other guys. Do you want to kick it off, or you want to save it for last?
It's up to y'all. I'm happy doing it either way. Who is up next? I don't even remember.
Don't matter. I'll kick it off,
right.
and you guys can finish up hard.
There you go.
So Tamari and Terry, obviously a guy that you guys got me turned on to, and I found myself like digging just deeper and deeper and looking for games to just keep watching this guy play and see, who this guy is. He's a very interesting prospect, big body, 6'4". I've seen him listed at 210, but I think he's more like that actual 205 is probably more accurate for, really what he is. But he plays like a lot heavier of a guy going over the middle, and he's extremely shifty for a lankier built kid. I can't believe how he would get out in the flat, catch a ball, and weave through traffic along the sideline. Like, whoa, that's the 5'8", 5'9" guy mold running style with the ball in his hands. That's really impressive from a guy that's this size, and he's a big dude. And he's not just straight line fast at that 4.4, 440. I mean, this guy can wiggle. And he beat up on Notre Dame as well in 2020. He had a very solid 2019, 51 receptions, 1,023 yards, 8 touchdowns, and he really blew up down the stretch. I'd love to see this kid end up on a win now roster that's adding him as a piece to a number one, kind of a deep threat, and let him develop into a full-rounded wide receiver. Maybe Buffalo grows a wild hair, or Minnesota drafts Thielen's understudy. I'm rooting for him. He's just turning into another one of my personal favorites.
Yeah, I cursed in exclamation in my notes on this guy multiple times. You just look at the size. He's big and he has serious wheels. And like Billy said, he's so quick for his size. It's ridiculous. He's thin, but he's long. It's not like a thin in necessarily a bad way. This is a serious deep threat. He tracks the ball really well. Crazy range, catch radius. It's ridiculous, actually. He gets going quick. He has some acceleration at his size, and this is not necessarily a hot take, but this is not what I'm trying to say. But when I do player comps, the only thing I saw when I was watching Tamari and Terry was Randy Moss. And I was going, holy crap. Like, he's extremely undervalued here. He mosses people all the time. He's tough. He's really like a special. Oh, by the way, he's a special teams coverage beast. He played special teams on coverage, and he lit people up. This guy, he's deceptively powerful. I think that this has got almost as high of a ceiling, this guy does, as anybody else in this draft. I got blown away the first time I started scouting him, and I was, like I said, Billy, when we were talking about, like, holy crap, what is going on here? I think that part of the problem is he has a bit of attitude issue, off the field stuff that might be concerning. But my Lord, when you look at like raw talent, I am blown away by this guy's upside.
So being a special teams guy, you mean that he's going to New England because Bill Belichick's going to want that, right?
They better not play him in special teams.
Bill Belichick would play his number one.
Where I'm at with Terry. Where I'm at with Terry, I'm not as high on him as you guys. I just wish, he could be a little bit more intense, picking up blocks. Maybe have a little bit more burst. But I mean, he makes the hard catches. He's low out of his breaks. He'll go out there like I said, he'll win the difficult battles for you in terms of the contested catches. But I mean, I just worry about his burst off the line, in that manner, and him picking up blocks. But hopefully you don't put him in those schemes though.
I do want to comment. The reason he's so high up the list is I have him at 9. Pinto has him at 13, and Tom and Billy have him at 17 and 16. So they're likely closer to you, Robbie. My 9 is going to push him up our rankings because I got blown away the first time I watched this tape.
Yeah, I definitely don't dislike him, right? He's a very good receiver. I think there's a lot to like. I mean, you guys have nailed it. It's being his size, he does show good acceleration, but compared to the rest of the class, that burst, that's the word we've all been using because it's kind of the best one for it. He doesn't have that burst off the line. He's not beating somebody, if he's in press coverage, other than just trying to manhandle them, which even that, I don't think he's the best at it, but there's not a lot of huge glaring weaknesses in his game. I think that he does have some limitations that could cause him to play gunner if he were in a place like New England, because he's going to be a 4th or so receiver for the time being, I think, with the upside to move up. But with that being said, we're going to move on to the guy I thought we were about to go to. I just said it in the chat here. I've been waiting for this guy for a long time. Ryan and I were talking about it here in the chat. He was upset because I had him ranked higher. We're talking about Sage Surratt out of Wake Forest. For the record, I'm just going to go through this really quick. So Ryan had him at 13. I believe it's going to be Chris had him at 20. Billy at 14. I had him at 9. All right. So Sage Surratt, biggest question, obviously coming off of a big shoulder injury. But being at Wake Forest, looking at his stats here, in his sophomore season, went 66 receptions for 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, and that's in 9 games, right? Those are some solid numbers, especially in Wake Forest.
Yeah.
And then, Ryan, we talked about, we were looking at Jamie Newman down there, the quarterback. We were like, oh, we like him. But Ryan, you pointed out, and it kind of made me realize that all of his highlights are actually Sage Surratt highlights.
They are.
It's him bombing the ball downfield just to a spot and Sage Surratt just going and getting it. This guy, I don't think there's much I don't like other than, again, that shoulder injury, which honestly I haven't found a lot about exactly what it is. I don't know if you guys have anything, but that's a question. And then he's not like an outright speed demon, right? But he has enough to get deep.
He has enough to get deep, and also he can hand fight off the line really well. So that helps him get open. So I like that as well. I'm actually pretty high on Sage. I think that not so much like with the NFL coaching, but if he's around the right NFL mentor, that he could definitely strengthen up his game.
Yeah, so Sage for me, just watching him play, 6'3", 215, 4'6", 440, and that's exactly what he looks like when you watch this guy play. I mean, he's a physical specimen. He's the most physical receiver in this class. He makes some big plays, but they're usually when somebody doesn't bring him down, like the corner's kind of hanging on him, and it just kind of slips off him as he's running downfield. They just don't get him brought down after the catch. But just when you think he's slow, he gets behind everybody for a bomb when you get just on this side of the 50. It's such a weird way. And I'll tell you what I see in him. He's a poor man's Keenan Allen, in the 66 catches for 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. It's also pretty telling of his game as well. Like I said, I see that Eric Decker maybe better comparison than a Keenan Allen type of guy. He reminds me of like a Shane Battier, but of football. Like, there's nothing about him that's terribly sexy, but the dude's just a gamer, man. He can just play ball, and that's exactly who I see when I watch Sage play. And Jamie Newman, I like him as a quarterback. I told you guys before, that was my vote for most likely to not give the job back when he gets on the field in the NFL. So testament to both of those guys playing some good football in Wake Forest, who we typically overlook in the football world.
Yeah, I remember texting you guys going, God, I was watching the Jamie Newman highlights, and it's a Sage Surratt highlight. Why don't they just call it what it is? It was crazy to me. He's so strong and tough. He's not fast, but he gets the damn ball regardless. It doesn't matter how fast he is. He catches everything. His style of catching reminds me a little bit of D-Hop, like Nuke. Not saying he's Nuke. What I'm saying is, if it gets anywhere near him, he's going to snag it. It's going in his hands. He catches all those 50-50 balls. He's also moves a lot more like a Welker Edelman type. Not quite the quickness, but he's got that shiftiness underneath. He can move around. Again, the fact that he was managing to get that open sometimes, despite not being this best athlete, I think he's faster on the field than he is on a combine type of a engagement. 4.6, whatever. Jerry Rice ran a 4.6. And again, not comparing him to Jerry Rice either. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to say is Sage Surratt will wind up higher. I'll probably get him higher than you, Tom, because every time I watch film or I look at, 14.2 and 15.2 yards per catch with the 4.6 40, 11 touchdowns in 2019 on 66 catches in 9 games. That's more than a touchdown a game. That's more than 100 yards a game. And that's about 7 catches a game. Again, we're talking about Wake Forest. I'm not as high on Jamie Newman as you are, Billy, but I think
I cannot stand Jamie Newman.
Yeah, I think a lot of what I like about Jamie Newman happened because of what I like about Sage.
Give me Felipe Franks over Jamie Newman. I'm not doing that.
I'm with you as well, actually, on Felipe.
Yeah, I like some Felipe too.
Ryan, for the record, if you put Sage Surratt at number 2 on your list, I'd probably put him at number 1. Just to, I like
all right,
him.
it looks like I have a new number 1. I have a new number 1. Then we can.
There you go.
Oh, hilarious.
All right, so Billy, moving us on to Seth Williams
these are
from
good.
Auburn.
So yeah, Seth Williams, I got him at number 11. You guys are all lower, couple significantly lower, but that's okay. When I watch this guy, 6'3", 212, 4.53 40 is what he's clocking here at these pro days that are not quite as entertaining as the combine, but I'll take it. I see Allen Robinson all over again. He's not a guy who runs every route, but definitely the type of guy you target in the red zone. He's a big body over the middle of the field, and he's just one of those guys for quarterbacks he's easy to throw the ball to. He's open when he's covered. Nothing sexy about him, but similar to Allen Robinson in that effect that you don't think he's a speed guy, but you look at the yards per catch, it's up there around that 17 yards per reception range. A little bit more athletic than you give him credit for, and has the ability to take over a game. Just a big dog wide receiver in the SEC. I think he plays early and has a legitimate chance to be another one of those breakout guys quick.
Billy, I just want to comment. You had him at 11. I had him at 12. I like him quite a bit as well.
Yes.
Pinto and Tom had him at 17, which this is such a crazy deep receiving class. Like we have some of these guys we're way off, but Seth Williams is so daggum strong. And I think he's like, we've been talking about guys that are quicker than fast. I think Seth Williams might be a little bit faster than he is quick. But he can, when he gets momentum, he can really move. He can make every catch. He's deceptively athletic. And then when I just watch him play, he's so smooth. And then you look at the stats. He had a year where he was over 20 yards per catch his freshman year, 26 catches, 5 TDs. Sophomore year, 14.1, 8 TDs, 59 catches. And then his last year at Auburn, he had 47 for 760 and 16.2. So this guy has a 16.1 yard per catch career average. You like to that higher number, especially at a guy at his size and strength. So it's not that he's not fast. I think he's a little bit less quick than I would like to see him, but the speed is there. It shows itself. It's just not happening in the same way that like a shifty Rondale Moore or he's not the shiftiest, but man, if he gets space, he can get going.
Yeah, he could go up there. He could get the contested catches. That's for damn sure. I don't want to take that away from him. But at the NFL level, it is going to be a lot more difficult for him. He already had trouble at the college level creating separation. At the NFL level, it's definitely going to be a lot more difficult. So that's why I'm about where you guys are at 17.
Rock and roll.
Well, Billy and Tom.
Yeah, Pinto and Tom.
Yeah,
me and Billy have him at 11
Damn,
and 12.
Sorry.
No worries.
No, I mean, it's like we were saying, this is kind of a deep draft class. We have that 1 through 4. So, 5 through 10, and then like 11 through 16, 17. You could even say 20. Like there's some good debate about who's going to land.
I'll go to 40, man. I struggled at 40. I was like, this guy could be 15. He could be 40. It's deep.
As far as Seth Williams, though, the biggest thing I noticed about him is he improved year to year, right? Like actually watching his film, you could see him growing as a receiver from his freshman year, sophomore year, and the hope is that he lands somewhere that lets him keep doing that. Definitely a possession guy. Could be good in the red zone. That's kind of the area that I have him, succeeding. I think he could be kind of touchdown dependent because of that. Because open field, he's not getting open. He's not creating that separation. So not a whole lot else I have to say on him. But Billy, I believe we're on Billy, right? We're on Ryan, Billy. I don't know.
Wait, I think we all covered Seth Williams. I think everyone covered Seth Williams. So it would be
moving on to the next one though.
Yeah, it'd be Amari Rogers. Yeah.
I'll rock with Amari. I love Amari, man.
Right.
Another Clemson guy, 5'10", 210, short, stocky built dude. Another one of these guys I'm a sucker for. And how do I only have him at 13? Just looking at this draft class, I mean, we got to rank them somewhere. But, man, these guys are all incredible players. I see Tyreek Hill in him, and just forget the 40 time for a minute. Just watch him play. Watch his game. Watch what they ask him to do, and watch the plays that he makes. And tell me you don't see like just resemblance of Tyreek Hill. A small, stocky, tough to bring down. He's doing a lot of the same stuff, like I said. You saw the development a lot in 2020. you can see him take over some games. Like against Notre Dame, 2 matchups this last year, 16 catches, 255 yards, and a touchdown in the rematch where you really get to see him hit the gas pedal. Big game Bob. I love those guys. Oh, man, I love me some Amari Rodgers. Just another Clemson receiver at this point.
Yeah, we had him ranged from 13 is the highest at Billy to 15 would be the lowest with me and Tom. So we were pretty close again. Robbie, where you got him at?
I have him around about 19.
So you're lower than we are.
Yeah, just because I mean he can easily be brought down. And I don't know if that has to do with maybe his size. But I do kind of see where you guys are saying, he could be that, that Tyreek Hill, maybe I see more so maybe like a Mecole Hardman type of guy. But I would just like to see him stay upright a little bit more and break some tackles.
Yeah, man. To me, he looks like a baby tank. He's like Tariq Cohen, but stacked. Like he really is thick. I'm less concerned about his size because of the way he's put together. I think he'd be super dangerous in the slot. He's so quick. He's so fast. He's so elusive. You give him space, he's dangerous. Got great bursts, and he's got them real good hands. I got changed on Amari Rodgers when I was listening to Travis Etienne talk about how Amari Rodgers was challenging to be a better receiver and the kind of how Amari Rodgers exists in that locker room culture at Clemson. I'm like, okay, this guy's for real. I'm going to have to be a little bit more serious about, maybe the headspace with him and the leader he is, because if you can get Etienne to do the stuff you're trying to do, that made me go, maybe there's this X factor about Amari Rodgers, because I'm impressed with he's a physical specimen in a lot of ways, even though he's small. But I'm impressed also with the mental aspect, the off the field aspect with Amari Rodgers.
Yeah, I will say I think you nailed it on him being a great slot guy. I think that's where he could excel. And then it's not fantasy sexy, but as a punt returner, I think he'd do well. Super agile, good in open space. I do wish, with as stocky as he is, I wish he could break a tackle better. I don't see him doing that a lot. He'll make a guy miss, but as soon as you're on him, he's going to go down.
Yep.
I don't know if that's something that he's going to be able to develop into the league, but that could be a little bit of a hindrance in how somebody uses him. So that's my biggest gripe with him. But that's about all I have for him. Moving on here, we have Daz Newsome. Another great name, right? We're talking about some of the better names in this draft class. So Daz Newsome here out of North Carolina. I feel like this is one of the years we've had some of the most top players, if you will, out of UNC. Other than, your
UNC
boy.
Clemson receivers and running backs right now are just, man, they're doing it there.
They are. Another guy here, 5'11", 190, kind of that slot receiver, punt returner-esque kind of guy, right? Did put up some good numbers, 126 catches, 1,700 yards over 2 seasons with 16 touchdowns. Did play out of the slot in North Carolina. Best things for him is, route running, creates pretty decent space, and he has really good hands. So I do like what I see out of him. You develop the route tree a bit more, it could be pretty solid going into the NFL. But I think a little bit of a development project. Again, UNC, not necessarily the greatest of football schools to develop these guys.
My take is exactly the same as Tom's.
I mean, I'm not terribly high on Daz. I got him at 16, but I think that's a little higher than most of you guys, actually, surprisingly. But I'm kind of a sucker for these UNC guys, like the Clemson guys. They're fun to watch football players. But one of my favorite things about him, he's a big-time return guy, and I think he will contribute early as a return man more so than a wide receiver. His 40 time, that 4.59 for the skill set that he possesses, is a little bit worrisome for me just because, he's not really like an Edelman. He's trying to get into space and beat guys. And at a 4.59, I just don't think he's terribly scary unless, like what you said, Tom, he needs to develop that route tree a little more complete at the next level for sure. So I do think he's a bit of a developmental project, but he's another guy with 3 years playing time, 400-yard games in the first 5 games in 2019, but he had just one since then all of last season, and that was a 189-yard, 10-reception explosion against Wake Forest. I love the playmaker that he is, but like I said before, just a lot of development in his future for him to really be an NFL player.
Yeah, the thing I fell in love with him mostly was his acceleration. He can get going real quick, even though he doesn't have that top line speed. I see he might be more of like a screen and a gadget type player, but I do see the upside.
Nice and quick on that one. There's a lot to like, I think, but it's pretty straightforward. So that takes us into number 19 on our list, Dwayne Eskridge out of Western Michigan. Not a big fan of Western Michigan. Billy, what do you got on this guy?
Sorry, here got lost in my notes a little bit. Let me dig him up. This is definitely a guy that I like. He's another one of those super fast guys. I've got him at 18, 5'9", 190, but runs a legitimate 4.3, and it shows on film. Like, he really rolls around the competition playing at Western Michigan, like you said. A little bit below the playing competition we like to see, but he has the make you miss in a phone booth trait that I mentioned last week that Tom loves so much. I see a little bit of T.Y. Hilton. I love this type of guy. Maybe not quite as polished, but he does do a really good job of taking like a crow route to the house. Like if he gets separation, he's hard to get a hold of. He's just quicker than you, and if he gets rolling, he does not get caught from behind. You just can't get your hands on him. 18.5 yards per reception over his career, but he did post back-to-back 20-plus yard per reception season and a whopping 23.3 as a senior. So right now, he's just a deep threat, but there aren't very many guys like this guy.
He actually had 3 straight 20-plus yards per game.
He did. Only 3 receptions in that one, so I didn't.
That's true. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I am the lowest on him. I have him at 23, Pinto and Billy at 18, and Tom at 20. So I'm not that far off from you guys. His yards per catch numbers are outrageous. Like, he's huge play potential. The quickness, the speed, it's all there. I don't think he has the elite level top speed in the same way because he's playing in the MAC against some subpar competition. So I think he's as fast as all the other guys. I don't see him as that, like a Jalen Waddle type. I see him in the slot. My problem is he looks weak. He doesn't look strong when he plays, and he's playing against weaker competition. So that's why I have him moved down. I do see the upside in the talent, though.
Oh, yeah. For me, I worry about the fact that he has to rely on room in order to work. There are size limitations there, but the fact this kid has heart, he'll go out there, he'll block, and he just downright enjoys playing the sport, playing the game of football. I could see, if let's let me throw in some bias here. Let's say last day of the draft or whatever, Washington decides to grab this kid up. I wouldn't be pissed because he has passion for the game, and he can turn a single step into a big play. But I do worry about size and the fact that he is going to need the space.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. Needing space is going to be the biggest thing, right? If NFL teams figure out the fact that, from what I see, if you put him in the press, he's not winning.
He's not winning. Hell no.
Right? So even if you're in a zone coverage or anything, just press him off the line and then back into your zone. Whatever you need to do to figure it out. I think you can more or less eliminate him, and that could make it really tough to scheme around him unless you put him into jet sweeps or motions just consistently, which you could theoretically do, but it's going to be tough to justify because I think he's a late round pick, and you're not going to necessarily scheme around a guy that you take in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, right?
Absolutely.
So that being said, going on to number 20 here, kind of a similar-ish guy, right? Sorry, what was his first name, Ryan?
Jatarius.
Tutu Atwell. Jatarius Tutu Atwell, out of Louisville, a place that doesn't know how to throw a football, hence why their best quarterback to come out of there is actually a running back, Lamar Jackson. Ryan, what do you got on Tutu here?
Look, I'm going to make this quick. In his pro day, he weighed 155. 155. For the reasons that I don't like Dwayne Eskridge, I don't like Tutu. I think I'm the lowest on him. Yeah, I'm at 29. Tom, you had him at 13. We had 21 and 22. Tom, you like Tutu, so I'm going to let you go over what you like about him. But he's too small. It's just too much for me. At 155, he just went way down my list. He's tiny. He's super quick. He's fast too, but his quickness is everything. He's too little.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is, yes, he's tiny. It's all big play, right? That's kind of why I have him ranked high, is because on those plays where it works, it really works. His 40 time is fast. His film is faster, right? He does make people miss. He goes out, gets the ball, lays out for it. I think that for a guy that plays hard and to have the success that he did in Louisville is pretty impressive. So I think has potential to be a good receiver. I think if he's able to get on the field, that's going to be his toughest thing, just based on that size. Again, 155. I think I weighed that in 8th grade. And I'm not a big guy, right? I'm not that big. So
yeah, the first thing I have in my notes is he's listed at 165, but that's a lie. He's not 165. He looks very, very little on the field, but he's explosive. 5'9", probably the more like that 155 range. And he might have been bulking up a little bit here postseason to avoid a real big mishap for being so small. But a 4.5 140, I believe, is what he clocked at his pro day. And he has some serious juice on the field. 4.51 seems and feels really slow for what this guy can do on the field. He sure blows by a lot of people that should be running 4.5s, in my opinion. But I see strong Hollywood Brown similarities. They call him the Road Runner. He has some monster games and some games with few receptions. Definitely a big play-dependent prospect. He's your typical deep threat boomer bust guy. But like I said, size, you guys all mentioned it. Size is an issue for him. He has to bulk up. The NFL level, under 160, you'll get mauled by even small corners. I mean, we're talking about Asante Samuel Jr. at 180 being too small to play corner. He's got almost 30 pounds on this kid. That's a problem.
Hell yeah. I'll say that if you guys want, everyone at home, head to rumboyz.com. We got a player profile up on Tutu Atwell, and that's how I'm gonna leave my take right there. Y'all can go to rumboyz.com and you guys can catch all the action there.
Hell yeah.
All right, boys. So moving on, number 20. Sorry, actually, we already did number 21 on our list. I almost forgot. It was Jalen Camp.
No, Jalen Darden.
Yeah, Jalen Darden.
Where was Jalen Camp on our list then?
Oh, well, we just moved into the one. Jalen Darden will now be 22. We were always one off because we did Camp first. To shout out once again, Joey the Tooth, IDP. Thank you for that suggestion.
That's what I'm saying. So 21 on the list was Jalen Camp. 22 on our list, Jalen Darden. So Jalen Darden, talking about the guy out of North Texas here, 5'7", 175, another small guy here, right? Definitely doesn't give any mismatches with his height. He's not the fastest guy in the world. Also, pretty small hands, not really strong or big hands. So doesn't help him out in any of those ways. But he does come to the ball, does find ways to make catches, and he adjusts pretty well, downfield as he's waiting for the ball to come to him. So there are some positives to be had, and again, could develop well. I don't know. 22 sounds about right.
I really like Jalen Darden. I have him right here at 23. But again, this is a really strong class. And, you got to take some points off for the competition level at University of North Texas. 5'9", 175. Man, if you're a Deshaun Jackson fan, this is the draft for you. I mean, it's amazing how many guys are that similar mold. They're all like that. But this is our second make you miss in a phone booth guy. Yeah, he'd be a bigger deal if he played at a larger school. 3 years of progressive development, 150 receptions and 31 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons. And he's a twitchy return guy, kind of like a Jalen Rieger type game if you watch him. To me, his 4.46 is another one of those times it feels a bit slow for his game. Small school competition, like I said, but he dominated 2 200-yard games this year, 19 touchdowns. Small school competition, but like you want to see out of a big dog prospect, he dominated them. So very happy with the results, the stat sheet. He seemed to kind of stand out at that level, and that's what I want to see.
Shout out Pinto having him at 16. Me and Billy and Tom, y'all had him at 23. I had him at 24. But that's a testament to this class. He might be the most elusive guy in this class as far as like it blows your mind. His feet are so gifted. His acceleration and quickness are right there with him. He's so twitchy was the word. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to out athlete at the next level, but he's definitely elite in space. He has tip top start stop type of stuff. Again, didn't face the competition I wanted to see to get him higher.
Could be a kick returner, reliant within spread offense schemes. But I mean, outside of that, I do kind of worry about the level of competition that this kid has played at. But I mean, we've seen guys come out of small schools before and be successful at the next level. So as long as the landing spot works for him, he could maybe be something in a couple of years. I'm not expecting anything big out of his rookie year.
All right, moving on here to Billy, one of your boys, Amir Smith-Marset, wide receiver out of Iowa. What do you got on him?
Yeah, a rare speed guy for the Hawkeyes. My Iowa boy, like I said, has a ton to like. Speed, plays a bit bigger than 180, ran a 4.43 40, and that definitely shows on the tape at times. He makes acrobatic catches. I mean, he checks every box about 2 games a season. It's terrible. So he has a tendency to disappear, sometimes several weeks at a time in college. I do see him making an NFL roster, having some flashes. Very situational, dependent guy, and to be dependent on any early career production. He's a developmental guy. He doesn't run a complete route tree. He's fast, makes plays with the ball in his hands. But really, he wasn't a great fit at Iowa in the power run offense. However, I am rooting for him hard. I just don't know if he's quite an NFL receiver, but he is an NFL athlete.
So I wasn't as high on him initially, and then my brother, who scouts quite a bit of college football, was like, "You'll know him when you see him. He's the Iowa kid." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forget his name, but he does make crazy catches. He's elusive with the ball. He can get open, dangerous in space. He runs like one of those shiftier running backs. He has jets, but not quite elite. The comp that I was seeing kind of was Juju. He adjusts to the ball well, operates effectively. I think he's going to be good. He's quite versatile. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, I had him higher than everybody, and I think he's one of those guys that's trending up. You had him at 16, Pinto really low on him at 31, and then you and Tom close at 24 and 22. So there's a big differentiation between me and Pinto, and you guys kind of in the middle.
I don't even have this guy in my top 25, to be honest. You got to play to your speed. You really, really got to play to your speed. I get that Iowa ran the ball a lot. He did have a case of the dropsies, so that's where I'm a little bit like, not sold.
It's upside for me mostly.
Absolutely. It is about upside. There are some inconsistencies as far as his ability to kind of concentrate on catching the ball. And as far as his 40 time, it seems fast. I will say, I don't think he plays as fast as his 40 time, but he plays real smooth, and I think it makes up for it. He's really smooth through his routes, and I think that helps kind of make up for not seeming as straight line fast, if that makes sense. But like we said, a lot to like with him, and upside. There's a lot of these guys that it's going to depend on where they land, what that development looks like. This is one of them. All right, so moving on here, we have Marquez Stevenson out of Houston, another small school receiver here, 5'10", 182. So another guy here that, taking a look at the notes, definitely not a guy breaking tackles. He will make people miss, but if you get onto him, he's going to the ground.
Yeah.
Big play threat, though, pretty good at, catching a deep ball. Could be a good slot guy, but his biggest advantage is going to be returning kicks, possibly punt returns. His 40 time, I believe, coming out of high school was a 4.87. I'm not sure if anybody. I don't have his number coming into the NFL. Anybody got his pro day number?
What I have for him is 4.48.
Not bad.
Big improvement.
Yeah, it is a large improvement.
Yeah, I saw a 4.45 listed for him even as I dug through quite a few 40 times for him, actually. But he does play relatively fast, so I do believe he's kind of that mid-late or mid-low 4.4 range. He does play that way. He was productive as a sophomore, continued to develop, and he's one of those guys that if you let him get going, he'll just tear you up all day long. But then there's games where it seems like he just isn't a factor in the game. But some monster stats and some of those reminds me of Nelson Aguilar, where sometimes he looks like a Pro Bowl guy and sometimes he's like Nelson Aguilar. That's just the feel I get from him. Boom or bust kind of guy, and you're not really sure. Maybe it's a lack of focus. I'm not sure. Another 6 foot, 190 frame guy. I definitely think he has the potential. He needs to go somewhere where they can develop wide receivers. He leaves a little to be desired, but I do like the prospect. I do like him with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, I think he played crazy fast, but he was also playing for Houston in the American Conference. He's unrefined. He's kind of raw. He's quick. He's kind of shifty, but I think he's got more speed than he does quickness. But he's a threat to go to the house every time. I didn't like that he was obliterating these bad defenses. I don't know if that's going to translate. I was the lowest by far on this guy, but me and Pinto were lower than you and Tom. I have him at 32, Pinto 26, and then y'all at 19 and 18. So there was some range here. I just started when I was getting to this point, I started falling out of love with these speed, not quite so powerful, not so big receivers, and you'll start to notice
saturated in that.
Yeah.
I start to trend them down because I look for those bigger guys to move up.
Yeah, there's only really 4 or 5 of those 6'2", 6'4", 220 frame guys in this draft. It's a lot of small guys, a lot of route running.
So there's 2 things you can't teach, right? As we look at these guys developing in the NFL, the 2 things you can't teach are number 1, height, and number 2, outright speed.
Yep.
Right? Like you can get a little bit faster, yes, but you're not going to go from running a 4.8 coming out of college to running 4.3s, in the NFL. It's not going to happen.
Getting down to that 4 or 5 is probably an anomaly for him.
Exactly. So, but I think it is one of those things where looking at him play, it seems fast. If it, is the case going into the NFL, that's fantastic. But as we get into these deeper guys, the question is, what do you value more in a receiver you want to develop? Do you want a guy that's theoretically has speed, or do you want a guy that's bigger and is able to go up and get the ball over somebody? And that's kind of where I think we're going to vary on these deeper picks.
Yeah. My only issue with Stevenson is just that got to absorb contact there, but he got to stay upright. Maybe take some of those Alvin Kamara workouts, get your balance together, and that'll help. Let's go ahead and get into our next guy, right?
Yeah, Anthony Schwartz.
May the Schwartz be with you.
Oh shit! I didn't even change it. I accidentally put. I left Marcette up for Marquez Stevenson. Damn me. It's doing perfect there. Okay, Anthony Schwartz. My bad, guys.
Billy, what do you have on Mr. Schwartz?
Yeah, I think I'm actually one of the higher guys on him, but this is a dude I'm kind of starting to fade a little bit. I dug into him a little bit more pre-show because I wasn't terribly familiar with Auburn, just didn't watch them play. But you kind of get blinded by that 4.26 40. I know that gets everybody excited. I don't care who you are if you're a football fan. That kind of speed is extremely rare. He is the fastest guy in the class, but he seems like a utility-type player to me. I don't really see a wide receiver necessarily out of him. Scotty Miller is kind of a very similar player. Very low yards per reception for the speed at 10.7 and 11.8 over the last 2 seasons. We talked about that a little bit earlier, kind of being an odd thing with Rondale Moore. All that speed, why such short yardage on his touches? But he really leaves a lot for me to be desired as a route runner. The speed makes you interested, but I'm just not terribly fond of him outside of that.
Yeah, I'm by far the lowest on him for the exact same reason I was with Stevenson. You had Pinto has him at 19. It's the highest. I have him at 41. I mean, he has it right now. He's out of my top 40. Y'all have him in the early 20s. I get that. It makes sense. The speed itself alone is enough to have upside. I think, again, he's probably the fastest guy, but his lack of production seriously concerns me. He's a big play, every type of a guy, but the numbers don't show it. He's raw almost everywhere else. He's an athlete. I see a lot of Tavon Austin, but a poor, maybe slightly faster version of not quite as quick, but faster than Tavon. And he's too little for me to get overly excited about. He's light. He's not short, but he's light, and he didn't show me any power.
Yeah, there's that. There's that with Schwartz as well. I mean, and also to me, he's not short-handed. He kind of bobbles, and then he'll reel it in and finally get both hands on the ball. That double catching it, I'm not with that. So for me, it's a complete turn off. In terms of Anthony Schwartz, I didn't have him in the top 25.
Yeah, personally, when I watch him, I think that he actually does get to his second gear very quickly. I think the acceleration is there. And obviously second gear is pretty quick for him looking at that 4.2's 40-yard dash. I think he does run pretty good routes, not the best in the league, or in the draft, but good nonetheless. Definitely strength is going to be one of his biggest, kind of failings, just in size, really, and does have trouble tracking the ball sometimes. I think it's a guy, though, that you could develop. You hit the jugs machine, you work on tracking those deep balls, and it could be a great weapon for somebody as a third, fourth, fifth receiver, depending on where he lands, as that deep threat that you can bring out and stretch the field.
He's classic fast for no reason.
Yes, DHB.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, moving on here. Last man we're covering tonight going to be Shi Smith out of South Carolina. Ryan, what do you got here?
I think, again, we have a case where I'm the lowest because we are now looking at clones of each other, essentially, in this late stage. I have him at 36. I just don't – look, he's too little, period. That being said, he has some elevation. I see him high point some balls sometimes. He's a good athlete. He's got good hands. He's got hand control and hand strength. He had multiple catch of the year candidates. His acceleration was pretty crazy. His quickness, in my opinion, is better than his speed. He's just too small. Like, I can't get over how small he looks on the field. There's not a ton of power to go along with all that athleticism.
Yeah, for me, it's that look, the things that help this kid aren't on the field necessarily, right? It's mainly what his coaches and people that interact with him say. As far as on the field, I mean, there might maybe be some type of size issues there. But I mean, his maturity, his maturity is really what sets him apart. He did very well for playing, not a whole lot of games in South Carolina. They do the whole shortened season thing. Yay, COVID, for fucking up everyone's life. But I mean, all in all, I mean, the kid seems like he has his head on right. And this is the first guy and probably the only guy tonight that we've covered that I feel like that's what's going to get him onto an NFL team and keep him on an NFL roster.
Yeah, I think the one other thing that really helps him, yes, he is smaller. He isn't the strongest guy in the world. I mean, was he 5'10", 186? Not huge, right? But he does put forth 110% effort on every play. He will go up and fight for a ball. He might not always win that fight, but he will fight, right? He'll go up against a guy bigger than him. Like the video of Chad Ochocinco trying to run over Ray Lewis. Like, I feel like that's him, right?
That's Shi Smith.
Yeah, that's Shi Smith. He's like, I'm gonna go hit Ray, and he gets knocked, on his ass. And then he gets up and he's like, oh, I tried to hit Ray. Like, it was a terrible idea. Nobody should have ever let you do this, but you're going to do it anyway. So he's the guy that plays with heart. He does have quickness. He does have good hands. So I think that, and again, the maturity is a big factor. So somebody that could definitely make a roster and in the right spot or gain the right opportunity. I mean, look at Denver last year. One of those teams that we thought had great receivers, and all of a sudden they're just obliterated by injuries. And we had some guys, Tim Patrick, nobody really expected to do anything. That could be a situation such as that could lead to Shi Smith kind of breaking out in the league, I think. Yeah,
for me, if there wasn't 15 other guys the exact same height, weight, speed as him, he might be a lot bigger deal. 4 years of production at South Carolina, not crazy numbers, but like I said, another guy that played early, played a lot, 42 career games. That's impressive for a guy of that small stature, kind of showing that he can stay healthy. Only 9 games this year, but like Robbie said, that was a COVID situation, not an injury situation. There's a lot to like about him. He kind of reminds me of like a poor man's Calvin Ridley, like maybe Riley Ridley. I think he could be good. Some wide receiver coach is bugging his head coach to blow a late round pick on this guy because they want him for all the reasons you guys said before. So hoping he lands in the right spot. Somebody sees something in this kid because you can see it kind of pop on tape. someone's going to love to get their hands and coach this kid and help develop him. He might be a really good player in a couple years.
Boys, we did it. 25 receivers, 3 tight ends. Talked about, again, our great St. Jude Bowl. If you haven't heard about it, check out our Twitter page at, what is it?
FFR Live.
Yeah, Fantasy FR Live.
Thank you. Fantasy FR Live. It throws me off, man. At FFR Tom, at Fantasy FR. God, I can't keep up with all of it, right? But with all that being said, real quick, guys, tell everyone where they can follow you at. What are you working on? And we'll get out of here. Billy.
Yeah, at bwit24. Follow me on Twitter, Down to Talk Football anytime. Right now, I'm currently just working on the St. Jude Bowl presented by us, the Fantasy First Rounders, our second year hosting this event. It's an awesome event. Tons of money donated, big-time prize money as well. So sign-up page is out. Find that link. Get yourself registered early. This thing's going to expand way beyond what it was last year. We're already over halfway booked for the main event, for the event that we put on last year, with plans to expand this thing out. We have plenty of time all summer, working on it now. So come get joined up. That way, as we start announcing the situations for our other platforms that we're offering for competitions this year, you're already ready to go in the main event. You can just fall in line with the other stuff.
Yeah, same. You can find me at Real Ryan Hicks, and most of my time has been most of our time lately has been this St. Jude Bowl, just getting all of the details lined up, everything ready to rock. We're ready to go. I'm in way too many leagues this year, so I've been doing a lot of drafts.
Way too many.
Yeah, I think it's going to go triple digits this year, and I'm ashamed to say that, but I just can't say no to these. Like, I hear a good charity league, and I'm like,
right now, like, it's pathetic. I need rehab.
It's bad, man. Always stay drafting. But you can, again, holler at me at Twitter. I'm not always on there that much. I've been busy also at my other job, but you tag me, I'll find you, and we'll get into some football talk as well. And then I'm just looking forward to the NFL draft. Everything starts to come into motion once the NFL draft happens, between St. Jude Bowl, between redraft leagues, when you start to see what depth charts are going to begin to look like. So we are very close to a big time shift in the way we study the guys, and the way, like, all of this we're talking about now is to give you an idea before their situation affects you or influences your decisions. So once you have this information, that draft's going to change a lot. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm getting ready for that draft.
Hell yeah. Same here. You guys know who I am, Rumboyz Robbie, CEO of the Rumboyz Fantasy Network. I'm these guys' leader, I guess. Aside from Pinto is their direct guy. But I appreciate you guys having me on, and just making it easy on the production for you guys. And you guys can Google us, rumboyz.com. New articles dropping constantly, pretty much every day. We just dropped a brand new Houston Texans piece today. And yeah, check out the Fantasy First Rounders Wednesday nights. Check out My Version's Better Tuesday nights. Rumboyz After Dark Friday nights. I don't know why I'm doing this out of order. Thursdays, Business and Brews. Matt Harmon's going to be coming on. Pat Fitzmaurice is going to be on this week. Samantha Prevey, Scott Fish. We'll be having Jake Seeley on the network here in a couple weeks. So a lot of big things happening here on the Rumboyz Fantasy Network. Make sure that you guys hit that damn bell, okay? Hit that bell so that your notifications can go off and let you know when all these special events are going to be going down. Dilly.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Robbie. We appreciate your help, man. It's been a blast talking with you.
Yes, sir.
Greatly appreciate your help and you joining us to give us your takes. And we can't forget about him. Make sure you do follow our usual host. I know he is much better than I am, much more gracious than I am.
Or SEC.
But yeah, he'll love on the SEC all day long. It means less. But at Aggie Kappa Sig, make sure you check out Chris Pinto. But other than that, you can follow me at FFR Tom to see me talk about how terrible Philadelphia teams are, whether that's football, baseball, hockey, basketball. The city's just
you're literally blocked by half of Philadelphia sports media, but that's okay.
I am. I've gotten blocked by a lot of Philadelphia sports media, and I don't know why for a lot of them. So not quite sure what those ones are.
Probably something to do with Carson Wentz. He's
Love it.
He's on my team now. Sorry, Tom.
Love that we have you on this team for that exact reason.
Yeah.
I love Philadelphia. It's the worst in the best way. I'll never want to leave. But follow me on there. You'll also see me talk about hashtag Start Minshew 2021 because Gardner Minshew needs a starting job in 2021. Robbie, if you're not familiar with that, get on board.
Hell yeah.
We're pushing.
It's
We're
the
pushing.
Mississippi Mud Flap.
Yes.
And then at Fantasy FR Live, make sure you check us out there on Twitter. Follow us for all our updates on St. Jude Bowl and all the great things we're doing here. But boys, it's been a great show. Hopefully Pinto's back to host next week, so it's not as terrible with this.
You did good.
I appreciate it. But this has been the Fantasy First Rounders. We appreciate everyone tuning in, and y'all have a great week.
Yeah.